Scotland squad for the November internationals has been named, folks. It's a big one, 45 players, but remembering their first match up against the US will be limited to Edinburgh and Glasgow players only, being outside the test window. So I think that's the reason for such a large squad. There are a couple of key omissions, injuries, and a bunch of Lions back in the squad. We'll go through it pretty quick. You guys can let us know your thoughts on what the expectations are for the Scots. Remembering that once these November tests are done, the world rankings will be locked in place for that next World Cup draw. The Scotland are still in the hunt for a kind of top seeding, being a 1 to 6 side in the world. Currently 8th. But if they can get some points, particularly off the Pumas, they can give themselves a shot at a top seeding and avoid... It's a bigger World Cup, so it's not going to be like last time, but avoid the situation they had at the last World Cup. Anyway, who are the guys that are kind of the big calls here? There's 3 uncapped players. Harry Morris, hooker, is ahead of the likes of Johnny Matthews and Dave Cherry, a couple of the veterans. So Gregor's talked up him as being a physical and aggressive player, but he's certainly only just kind of emerging in terms of his Edinburgh career with pretty limited minutes from the bench thus far this season. And then 2 uncapped loose forwards, although one of them's kind of not uncapped, and Alex Masibaka, who played against the Māori All Blacks. So he's been there or thereabouts with Scotland for a wee while, but is technically uncapped. And then Liam McConnell, who's been playing in the number 6 jersey for Edinburgh this year. And Gregor talked about him having a breakthrough season, so he is rewarded with a call-up for the Scottish squad here. So 3 uncapped players. There's a couple of big omissions, I guess, other than the likes of a Johnny Matthews, but no Camerons. Cameron Redpath and Cameron Henderson. Both these guys may have expected to be in the squad. Cam Henderson played against the Māori All Blacks as well during the July matches. So it's a slightly surprising one to see him omitted. And then Cam Redpath, you guys are just too stacked in the midfield. You need more tight head props, not midfielders in Scotland. They've got Tuipulotu back from the Lions, Stafford, McDowall, Rory, Hutchinson, and then Tom Jordan is there as well. So the midfield is not an issue, which does see Redpath miss out, which is unfortunate. I think Gregor mentioned the fact that he plays his rugby outside Scotland probably didn't do him any favours, because him and Hutchinson are kind of in that same boat. Plus Tom Jordan's playing in the Premiership now, so you can kind of only pick a limited amount of those guys. I guess if Redpath played in Edinburgh or Glasgow colours, he'd most likely be in the squad. But as I said, your midfield's pretty stacked. Whichever one of those guys gets omitted is always going to feel pretty hard done by. But tight head prop is concerning because Xander is still not 100% fit. He has absolutely got the weight of the team on his shoulders, Xander Ferguson, but he's not 100% fit just yet. I really hope he is fit for this All Blacks game, because if there's one player, even more so than Finn Russell maybe, that you need to be fit because your backup is not as good, it's Xander Ferguson. Like the other tight heads, Miller Mills, Ray, and Walker, none of these guys are even 10 cap guys just yet. And Xander's like, he was going to go on the Lions tour if not for his injury. So he is a top class tight head prop, needs to be fit. Loose head's fine, Schoolman's back, you got Sutherland there, Macbeth's the other guy. But tight head. The All Blacks have got a pretty good scrum. Or at least I thought so until we got kind of bossed around by the box in the Rugby Championship. But for this All Blacks game, which is going to be key in terms of maybe knocking over the All Blacks. The All Blacks have been knocked over by a few teams in recent years that had never knocked us over before. The Pumas and Arron and whatnot, all in the last 10 years. Scotland feels like that next cab off the rank. If you're going to have a crack at it, you want Xander fit for sure. So fingers crossed. I hope he's fit. I want the best Scottish outfit available possible. Some of the other guys have kind of been recalled. Magnus Bradbury is back in the squad. But you guys are, again, pretty stacked in the loosies. I don't think you've got many issues there. Most squads in the top, 10, 15 sides in World Rugby have got pretty good loosies at this point. And, Scotland's no different. You got Darge, who's also not 100% fit, tackling machine. Jamie Ritchie's playing his rugby over in France now, but he is still in the squad. As I mentioned, Bradbury gets a recall. Dylan Richardson, I think, is being seen as a loosie for this one, not a hooker, because of his recovery from a back injury. So he's also really high work rate. Andy Christie's there, He's only got 9 caps, which is incredible because he's quite the player. So, yeah, Matt Ferguson, Jack Dempsey, you're pretty well stocked, I feel like, in the loosies. And then there's a fair bit of talk about the number of 10s that Gregor's picked because he's got Finn Russell, Adam Hastings, Ross Thompson, and Fergus Burke. I think this largely comes down to the fact that 2 of those guys play rugby outside Scotland. So he needs a couple of 10s, at least for that first game against the USA. So no Russell and no Burke for the opener. He'll have Adam Hastings probably starting and Ross Thompson on the bench. And then, Finn takes over for the next 2 games. Probably a bit of rotation against Tonga. But we'll see. Your 9s are pretty steady as she goes. White, Horne, and Dobie. So no changes there. Duhan's back in the outside backs. Kinghorn's back in the outside backs after their Lions duties. So that's good news. Darcy Graham, remember, also got himself on the Lions tour after touring with Scotland in the summer. So, again, the outside backs are looking good. The midfield is looking stacked. You got 4 10s, but as I said, due to the game being outside the test window, that does make sense. I like the squad, man. I always say this when I see the Scotland squad, though. I think, man, these guys have got some depth, barring tight head prop, which is still looking a bit light, but there's plenty of attacking weapons. There's plenty of turnover merchants. There's plenty of high tackling players. Yeah, I don't mind this Scottish squad, even if it's big, 45 players. I think they will go all right. Hugh Jones is obviously one of the guys who's missed out. He's still got a long-term injury recovery to go through. Ben Muncaster, I think, is also not back 100% fit. He would have been a nice kind of high work rate guy who does play as rugby. Would have been available, for the USA game because he's playing in Scotland. But yeah, the injury toll's not looking too bad. And most of your big gun guys will be back and raring to go. Game against the USA, as I mentioned, will be interesting because you don't have free rein on who to pick from. It's all Edinburgh and Glasgow guys. Then I guess expect a much changed squad up against the All Blacks. It's not ideal that that's going to be the first game for some of these guys, but also the All Blacks will have had a previous week over in Chicago the week before up against Ireland. So potentially a bit of jet lag there for the ABs. Maybe they'll be there for the taken. Don't know. As I said, in my lifetime, in recent years, I've seen a couple of sides set new records. I've seen the Box give us our biggest ever defeat. I've seen the Pumas beat us for the first time, then beat us for the first time in Argentina, beat us for the first time in New Zealand, so they keep doing it. The Irish have beaten us a few times now. Never used to be the way. Scotland. Then the Pumas, which is in terms of the world rankings, an absolutely crucial one. And then Tonga, which, as I said, probably is the game where we see a bit more experimentation from Gregor. So bookended probably with a bit of experimentation. And then the big guns, hopefully fit and firing for the middle 2 tests, which I think are already sold out. They're still selling tickets for the USA and the Tonga games. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on Scotland's squad. How do you think they'll go? Obviously, the expectations is to pick up wins in the first and last games. Is it that you have to win one of the other 2? If you go all 4, you'll be right in the race for top 6 come the World Cup draw, which would be pretty incredible. But yeah, Xander, a lot is on your shoulders. Please get fit, mate. You guys take care of yourselves. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Take care. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.